Hello. So how's it going? Let's change views. Bit of a quiet start. Right. Hopefully the internet plays ball today. It doesn't actually play up. Got a few things to tinker around with. Right. Now, YouTube tried to get me to use the new beta thing this morning. It's like, no, go back to basic. Beta buddy. The whole beta studio thing, I hate it. It's rubbish. There's parts of it which are good, but generally it just doesn't work right for me. Well, features aren't there, or I normally quite like change and how things, progress and new things. I normally quite like it, but it's YouTube Studio Beta. Beta, how you want to say it. Just don't like it. Hey Dave. Yeah, so I had to go and let the dog out for a pee, that's why I was a bit of a delay getting going. I almost forgot to do it. I put the holding card up for, oh crap, I gotta let the dog out. Morning. It's, was it 8 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, 8 o'clock in the morning. I should have done that by now. Yeah, fun. Oh, what's that? It just came through, better check. Oh, it's me going live. That's the first time I've ever been sent a notification that I've gone live. That's weird. Why did it send me a notification that I've gone live? And it's the first time I've ever done it. That's a bit weird. Oh, at least the notification went out. That's something. Okay, so we've got a few little things I want to cover. I've been playing with my 3D printer a little bit. I've changed the nozzle on it, and because I changed that nozzle, it's printing in a much finer detail. I've been doing some printing yesterday, and both things I made come out beautiful, come out really nice. Probably the best prints I've ever done. And also, I've been a little project which you sort of caught a glimpse of before when I first started the stream, where I was over at my bench here and it was on that camera view. Got my hairs. I've got to cut my hair cut. And what's the other thing? Oh yes, the thing that's on the bench. That's right. That thing there. You'll recognise the Tektronix 851. So I've been working on this and I've got it to a point where it actually works now. I've fixed the fault we had last time. And I'm going to show you what I did to fix that. And then I think last time I also mentioned I discovered that was it in part of the stream or not? The volt mode, couldn't read DC volts anymore. And that didn't make sense because I'm sure it was working before. Anyway, so I pulled it all apart again, pulled the switch apart thinking that I've stuffed up something on the switch, and I don't know if I did or not. And rebuilt it again. but when I went to go and take the switch apart, I found I left the link off the main board, which I'll cover and I'll show you in a minute. And because that link was missing, I think maybe that's what was causing it. I don't know, but so I put the link back on again after I reassembled it, obviously, and I rebuilt 3 sections of the switch contact, which are on the top PCB, so it was a bit easier to work on. I didn't have to strip the whole thing down, strip the top piece apart, which is the bit which I thought was wrong. And I'll go through the diagram actually and try and show you the bit I meant. Hold on. Where is it? I don't know what page it's on. I'm going to have to find it. It's in this book somewhere. Because I was looking at the diagrams trying to figure out why the DC volt section couldn't work. But some parts of it working, like the AC volt section was working on the line voltage, but the AC volts in the DMM section wouldn't work. So, where's that bloody sheet gone? I should have remembered where it was. Where is it? There's a mechanical section. So I'll show you this bit while I'm at it. So, should we pull this up in the electronic manual actually? So I did this part again in the manual. Basically, this is the top board. The one that's the sorry, it's the bottom board. There's a top assembly here. Let's go back to another page. Next page. This is the one I was looking at. This board here. So this is the very top board here. Just there. So you got 3 switch wafers on here. Trying to do this backwards is always fun. So you got one there, and one there. So I basically redid those. I'm not sure if 2 of them swapped over or not. I'm not, because I pulled them all apart, laid them out on my desk. Hey Ian. Oh, yeah, club. Nice. Yeah, back in a few hours. Oh yeah, no problem. I was going to use your PDVS2 today and just demonstrate this. Hold on. Demonstrate this thing working on DC volts. So I'm going to show how accurate it is compared to your piece of gear. That's the plan. That won't be till a little bit later. What's this thing I'm trying to find? I'm just trying to find the bloody. I'm trying to explain how I figured out what's going on with this bloody switch. I've got to try and find it. Where the hell is it? I might have to go through the electronic version because it might actually be easier to find it. It's not in that part. Start the back again. Where is it? I can't find it. Okay, let's look through here. I don't know where it was. I should have made a mental note what page it was on. Is it 518? I'm thinking something else. Sorry, it's not very exciting this bit, is it? It's 518, check at 518, I've got that number in my head for some reason. 622 is a switch. 518 is a switch. What's 622 then? Oh, that's the logic for the decoding of the ohms. Right. Where is this thing? Oh, here it is. Is this the one? Not that page. I'm close to it. Almost got it. Oh, hold on. This is section 13. Section 13, here we go. Right, okay. I'll put up this on the electronic one. Now I've found where it is, it's going to be a bit easier, I think. Show you on screen. Once I get it on the electronic one. Tektronix 851 service manual. So right at the back here somewhere. So, nope. Nope. Come on. What's it taking so long to find this? It's ridiculous. Here it is. Right. Oh, come on. Me pain. This is the bit I'm looking at. Kind of on screen. It's not great to see. Right. So over here are the DMM input terminals. Let's go a bit closer. Right, so these are the input terminals from DMM. So this is like everything passes through, and these are the mode set, the mode switch, function switch, we would call it, states. Right, so these shows which connections are turned on at which setting. Right, so we've got ohms, AC volts, DC volts, etc. down the side here. So when you're in ohms range, this switch turns on, that one's on, that one's on, that one's on, right? And these lines come down to the actual switches. So switch here, so it turns that one on, or turn that one on, or whatever, right? Whichever the state's required. Now we have the negative line is actually disconnected from ground, right? So it's got to use as common ground. And it's connected to ground when it's in ohms, AC volts, or DC volts. So that's the only three ranges which use that switch. Now, because I was getting, after I fixed the ohms thing, that's fine, but AC volts, DC volts then weren't working. So what I found is that the line voltage down here was working, which gives me the AC line voltage. So I know it could read voltage. Now what I've done is that, right, if I looked at the switch here, I thought, right, well, what makes this one work and these ones not work? And I looked at what was common between them. So you can see that AC volts, DC volts is using this switch here, that switch there, not that one. It's using DC volts using this switch, then DC volts using this one, AC volts using this one. And also over here, this is the main one here as well. So it's using all these common as well. So all these different switches I was looking at, thinking, right, which ones are likely to be the problem? So I was looking at what's different between them. And if you look at this one here, you got AC volts, DC volts, which weren't working. Oh, sorry, DC volts peaks. That's right. Maybe AC volts was working, but the line voltage is working at least. Right, so I knew that was okay. So I know this switch here is working, and that one there. But I was getting this whole negative, positive peak thing, and these thresholds also weren't working. So you've got this threshold A low and A high, threshold B, threshold C, which are the like the PTL level edges on the the probe section, which on that side there, the left hand side, you've got 3 inputs there. So it's measuring those threshold settings, and they weren't working. They were working. I know for a fact they were working. And what's the other thing that wasn't working? Duty. That's right. Percent duty factor was the other thing that wasn't working. I know that was working before. And that all comes back to this one switch here. This one switch was doing all that. So I thought, okay, well that comes down to this switch. What's the difference between this and the AC voltage section? Because AC volts also wasn't working, but the line voltage was. If I remember rightly, I could be wrong. Anyway, so I traced back to this switch, which is the A11 board, which is that little one on top of that main section, which I showed before in the main manual. So I thought I'll pull this apart and rebuilt it again, just in case it's maybe badly seated, or maybe I got 2 sections back to back, swapped over, because there was a couple there I wasn't sure I'd got it right when I put it back together. I thought I did, but I wasn't certain. So I thought, because I had that doubt in my mind, I thought I went back to it and rebuilt it. Now that is actually these 2 switches here. Right, the ones which I swapped over again were these 2. So the fact that the AC volts line voltage one was working means it probably was fine. It's most likely that link I had on the top, or maybe that was badly seated. But it's all we'll come back to this switch here being bad. So if I zoom out slightly. So the path is the positive comes in through here. Try and get it so I can get switches in as well. The positive comes through, and when it's on AC volts, DC volts, it turns the ground on, so it gives a ground reference or negative reference. So you've got a path that comes through this way. That's only active on the ohms range, right? So that's actually that's open if it's on volts. It's not coming through this path here. So it's coming through this path. Oh, you can't see what I'm looking at. That's dumb. Hold on. Yeah. And I've got something under the chat, so I can't even see what you guys yelling at me. Fucking hell. How long have we done that for? Right. Right, so we've got the main path coming in here, negative ground, linked to the negative common, or the ground of the unit. DC comes in here, or whatever resistance, whatever range you're reading, comes across here. That's a switch there for ohms, which opens if it's on anything other than ohms. Okay, so ohms path is only through here. So this path here is the other one we're looking at. So for AC volts, DC volts, this switch has to be closed. Alright, then we've got to come along. Then we've got some other links here. We've got another switch here, which is only for DC volts. Then we've got this link through here, which is like DC blocking. Right, so if you've got DC, it basically bypasses this resistor and this capacitor. So DC will pass those. It comes down. It's got this compensation attenuator. And then it comes back up. Right. Comes back up through here. Then you've got this other switch, which is only active on DC volts, the peaks, and that sort of stuff, which I was saying before, which is the one I suspected was wrong. Right? Because those are the modes which weren't working. So it comes back up through here, back around. This switch here is only shut on AC volts. So that's a return path. So it comes down into the analog to digital board. Right? So that's the path for the input for those modes. Now AC volts, it's very similar, except it comes to the same path, but this switch here is open, so it forces it to go through that resistor, that capacitor. Right, so it's obviously DC blocking. Then it goes through the compensation, and then it comes up here, but that switch is open, right, because that's only for DC volts. So it doesn't go through this way. it comes along here through the AC buffer, and then through the AC, and then feeds in. Right. So I knew that from what I was playing around with, that this part here was working, and that switch there must have been working. And so the only thing I really traced it to was this. And anyway, so I pulled it apart anyway. But I was going to do it on stream, but I got a bit carried away when I was recording video and just did the whole thing. Properly. I traced that back to a bad reed switch, which is what I was looking at last time. But I was actually, if I swapped over to reed switches, but there were two possible switches it could have been. It was the other one, of course. Hey GB. Yeah, so that was a bit of fun. So yeah, so I thought it was a switch. It likely could have been. So I'm going to go to a close-up view on the bench here. Although this could be a bit weird. I built a little project recently. I did it last night. I was going to do it on the stream today, but again, it got carried away. So if I get up and stand over here, you'll see what I mean. Is it going to... Oh, it's not going to work now. Seriously? Because I don't have the window at the front. This time I've got to fix it. Okay, let's change manually. Right. I've built an automatic camera switcher. I did it last night. I've got a PIR sensor just over here, up there, which is facing the desk over here. So if I come stand in front of the desk, the PIR triggers through an Arduino, sends a keyboard shortcut to the computer to change windows. But it only works if I've got OBS at the front. I've got to set up a some other way of bypassing that, so it'll push OBS to the front and then do the keyboard shortcut to change views. I'm sure there's a way of doing it. I've got to figure it out. I did it last night before I went to bed. So anyway, over here, things. If I'm over here, this thing will trigger, and it will do a wide camera view. If I've got a zoomed camera view, it will override that and go back to a wide one. So I have to think about that. Anyway, let's get some more lights on so you can see what I'm doing. Touch cover off. Just frame it before I start the screen. So this is the bit I took apart. I took these cables off here again, removed those 3 screws from the switch, which then allowed that whole section to come off, including the switch shaft, which came out of all the other switch segments behind there. They just stayed in place. So I slipped that off, and they got the wafer under here, and there's 2 more on the other side of this board. And I just basically rebuilt all that again afterwards, just to make sure it was definitely okay. But what I'd actually messed up is a little wire link right there. And I pulled it apart before and stripped that switch down and cleaned it. There's a little wire link that goes from that post to here. That I'd forgotten to put back on. So it's either this switch section, well, one of those switch sections underneath there, which were bad. I either had a bad fault there or swapped something over. Either one's possible. Or is this link? It could have been either one. I wasn't completely sure, but by doing that, I got the thing working again. And the other thing I did, which is a little bit hard to show you, so can we kind of see it in camera? You kind of can, it's a bit small. Let me just zoom in. And hopefully this thing doesn't override. I've got like a delay time on it which automatically resets if it detects movement all the time. So as long as it keeps moving, you won't override the camera view. So those are the 2 black things here. The read relays were swapped around last time, thinking it was this relay here, and actually it wasn't that one. So I swapped those over. Didn't change anything. Here was this relay here. This relay there. So it's actually got a discrete glass read relay in there. That has read elements. But I still have the old one on my desk here. I think I might have thrown it. Oh no, it is still here. So I was using one of these. Little glass sitting up a ring so you can't see it. There you go. Right, that's what I was using, was that. Will it focus? Probably not. Come on. Here we go. Use one of those things. So that's the original one which I took out. I actually had an old one laying around which had been used. Don't know what it came out of, but it's sitting around. I only had one, so I've actually bought some more new ones now. And so I swapped it out for that. Original one's bad. The one I found in my parts drawers as an old part, which I pulled from something, tested okay. It wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better than the one I pulled out. And I swapped it over because it just slides to the coil there, because that's just a big relay coil, and it's actually just got a hollow tube, and the reed passes through it. You can actually slide them out. So I desoldered it, slid the original one out, slid the replacement in, soldered it back up again, and that's what fixed the resistance ranges. So I've done a video on all that part, so you'll see that when I actually go to publish it, so you'll see a lot more detail about that. But that's what fixed the resistance range issues. So, and that's actually a relay which is active in the ohms range. Remember, the ohms was slightly off by about 10 ohms. I thought it might have been a calibration thing. Well, no, it wasn't. It's because of read relay. So, but you can see there's another one up here as well, the same design. But once I get the new read elements, I suppose they are. Once they arrive, I've ordered them. Then I'll take that back out again, put a brand new one in instead of that used one, and be sure it's okay. But I've gone through another calibration this already, so it's pretty good. But I do notice it's got some non-linearity issues across its ohms, across the ohms range and the voltage ranges. It's only very minor. I'm not bothered by it enough to try and do anything about it. It's just the way it is. It may even be that I can't do anything about it. I don't know. So. Got to get this right keyboard. I've set up keyboard shortcuts on my keyboard as well to try and change camera views. Got to try and get used to that too. And of course I've got my merch mug. No one's buying these things. I don't know why not. I need something a bit more interesting, I suppose. Try and drink this before it goes too cold. It's already getting pretty cold. So yeah, that's where it's at anyway. So that is basically really getting together. I didn't put it back together yet because I wanted to show you guys the inside of it and what I'd actually found, and be able to describe it and point it out to you. If I had the casings on it, I wouldn't be able to do that very easily. So yeah. And I'll show you this little project I've been doing. Can I show it in front of this camera? Probably not. Well, no, I might reach. I'm wrecking the joint now. Okay. So, I made this last night. Pretty simple thing. So we have an Arduino. It's a Pro Micro. You could have used was it Leonardo or some other thing. It seems to have a USB plug built into it with its own USB connection, so it needs a Atmega 32U4, something like this. And this is a PIR sensor. That's all it is, little plug-in sensor. Now I purchased this one recently, and I went to go and use it last night and realised, oh, there's no bloody markings to say which pin's which on it. There's nothing on there to say which pin was which. Positive, negative, output, didn't say. I went and looked at the listing, didn't show it either. No mention of what the pinout was. So I went and found another unit which also had 3 pins. And I looked at it and I thought, well, yeah, okay, it kind of looks right. But it had the same sensor. But the sensor was labelled on the board. This one isn't. And because the sensor was labelled, I would trace it back from the sensor. So I cross-checked this sensor against the other one, knowing the pinout of the other sensor. And then work backwards and figured out what the pinout was on this board. Which is a bit of a pain. Because it's actually quite a cheap little board, it's quite good, but I wish I'd actually labelled it. So, looking from this side, where are we? Make sure I get this right if I'm going to describe it. Yep. So, looking from this side, the left pin is positive, the right pin is negative, the centre pin is the output, and it's a positive output as well. Positive going output, not negative going output. So, anyway, so that's the PI sensor. So what I've done is basically I'll set this on my shelf over here. And the theory is once I actually get things set up properly, it will just sit there, and when it points at my desk and I walk over to my desk and I've got the right view set up, I'm dropping everything. It should switch camera views automatically, so I don't forget to switch views onto this desk here. Now I'm also thinking about having a second sensor set up at the other part of my desk where I sit, So it'll detect me sitting back down again, but I think that's probably less important because I noticed that one. Now finally I get one which senses me on the wrong screen for displaying the top screen when trying to show a circuit diagram. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? So yeah. So let's check the chat. Oh, hi Kira. Yeah. Father's Day, yeah. Well, I don't know. My kids are off in the world somewhere, I don't know where they are. Yeah, well the accuracy on that is actually not too bad. It's doing alright. So it's, I think in the ohms range it's off by about, at worst, I think it was about, depending on range. The range changed it a bit, I can't remember what it was now. Probably about, what was it? No, I don't remember. I can't tell you because I don't remember. It wasn't much out anyways. It wasn't enough to really be worried about. It's very minimal. And on the volts ranges, using Ian's PDVS2 Mini, which I've been playing around with, that was at worst 4 counts out. At worst. It's actually got a weird kind of response curve. So at the lowest voltage, it's bang on. As you go through the voltage ranges to this maximum voltage within that range, it'll come up, peak being at 4 counts out, and then come back down again and be correct at the calibration point. So you set the calibration point, and it actually below that, around the middle of the range, it actually gets a bigger error, and it comes back down again. So it's a little bit interesting in that way. So I can show you that when I plug it in and show you. I won't take much to set it up. Let's go do it. Also rearranging my desk here as well a little bit. Has it switched? It hasn't switched again. Oh, I might have some bugs with this bloody thing. Sure, any of these cables go. Doesn't matter. Does it? Yes, it does matter. Which one's which? Yes, that was right. This isn't switching. My automatic switcher which I built last night, which was working perfectly last night, isn't working today. I might have a bug in there. Let's just reboot it. This is going to be annoying. Right, it's going to work now. No, it's not. What's going on? It was working fine earlier. Oh, typical. Hold on, I'll be back in a second once I've got this set up. I'll sort this mess out. You might have to do some work on that yet then. It's a bit annoying. It was all working perfectly. In fact, it was working when I started the stream off. What's going on with this thing? If I pull a wire off or something. Oh no, it was working. Do it manually. Set up a light curtain in front of a press brake. Oh yeah. Yeah. Just watch out for things flying through it. If you get flies around, you find it will interrupt stuff. Use light curtains at work. They can be a bit of a pain. You get random stoppages, things like that. Okay. So, where are we at? Let's move this over here a bit. Now obviously this is stone cold, it's not warmed up. I'm not using the right cable. You know, it's not perfect setup. But it's good enough for what I'm testing on this, and it doesn't need that high level of resolution anyway. So I'll power it up. I think it 1 volts. No, 1 ohms. I think. Hold on, where's the front panel? Yes, that's ohms. There's volts. Is that? Yeah, this would be easier if I put the thing back together actually. Anyway, front panel. So that was volts. There's volts. Here we go. Right. Turn this on. Can you see it? Maybe. Right. So if I do 1 volt, can't see it very well, can you? Yeah. Let's do that. Try and help the view a little bit. Contrast isn't wonderful, is it? Anyway, it's 5 cans out. It's still cold. Temperatures aren't right now. It's a bit cold in here. What is it? 18 degrees. So yeah, things are going to be out a little bit. 2 volts. What light's showing on that? Hold on. Does that do it? Maybe. Yeah, 3, 4. But as you can see, it's working fairly well. Accuracy is not that bad at all, really. Yeah, talk about a few counts out, all the way up. Right, so this is a good thing about having something which you can trust. I mean, I trust this thing. It's only at the microvolt levels where you have to worry about accuracy, where you got some DC error because it's only relying on digital to analog converter, and you get a little bit of error there. A really small amount because of the way it converts digital to analog. The actual resolution of that. This is 20-bit DAC, so it's already pretty good, but there's only so much you can do about that. There's physical limitations, but this is still way beyond what this thing can display anyway. That's 500 microvolts resolution it's got on there. Well, this is doing 10 microvolts resolution with an accuracy of around that, or actually slightly less than that, or slightly better than that, I should say. It's doing pretty well. So this has got a very slight error there, but if I do 10 volts, it's going the other way. So it's working now directly on this terminal.